So don't feel that you can't reach out. I'm a lifeline if you need it. So with that being said, is one thing that I kind of like I have a structure what I wanted to talk about, what we all kind of put together. I know what we market out, advertise out there, but you know, I don't know if we're going to be interactive. I don't know if people have questions, so I'll kind of just leave it for like a 10 second. If there's like any like struggles that anybody's going through that you kind of want me to talk about, because I'm really big on like mindset. I'm really big on, I'm very effective on the phone of how to speak to people, how to get that. I am a prospector talking to strangers, past clients, you name it. But also, I do run my team, right? And I have a strong following with my organization, just like Anna does. And we're always week after week helping different agents overcome different struggles. So, is there anything out there that somebody like really struggling about that you want me to like kind of talk about? Because I can veer off, or do you want to just talk about what I have? 10 seconds. All right, so we're gonna talk about what I have. So so one of the first things first is what I always like to talk about is, from a struggling agent's perspective to being a top agent perspective, right? So, I was there, right? Like I went to college, I graduated college, I worked in corporate America for a few years. I worked on Wall Street over here in New York, and I kind of had that background, that very early on background. But I realized at an early age, I couldn't be managed by other people. Like I've always had a vision. I always had an opportunity that like this is how I saw my life and this is how I saw everything. So this is how I wanted to attract what I wanted to do. So I quit that whole industry and then I got into real estate. Long story short, right? Got into real estate. And when I'm in real estate, everybody was like, oh, it's so hard. This is back in 2010, 11, 2011. So everybody's like, oh, it's hard. It's a very hard industry. I've had a mentor, I had a manager that was like, hey, listen, you're not going to be good at this. Like, I actually had a mentor and a manager telling me that all you got to do is open houses and, most people fail out. So I'm like, all right, well, most people fail out. I'm going to give this a shot. So I was in the industry for literally 8 months. I'm living on my own. I have just whatever I had saved in the bank account. 8 months, zero transactions, holding open houses on Saturdays, Sundays, dealing with buyers, dealing with renters. I didn't have the seller side in me at that time, but I did have that. I reached out to family, I reached out to friends, I reached out to my database. I had absolutely nothing. So I was in my last moment, 8 months into the business, where I had to make a decision. All right, do I spend this pretty much last dollar I have towards my rent and towards my car payment so I could live? Or would I turn this, last money until I have and put it into this business one more last shot? Then I had somebody that miraculously came into my life, and a mentor, which is now passed, but I don't know how or what, but at that 8 month mark, I found him. And then he put me on a schedule, put me on a structure. He kind of teed me up to who I am today. So from that 8 month mark to the end of the year, I ended up selling 27 houses. So he kind of figured it out. And one thing is where I wanted to talk about the newer agent is one of the things that I did, what I learned at that moment in time is I wasn't for the people at that moment. I was for myself. I was like, if you came to me and said you wanted to buy a house for $500,000, but you really wanted to spend four, what I did was I was like, let me show you 500, let me show you 550. I lost client after client after client because I was putting my needs ahead of theirs, right? So one of the things that I want people to realize is if you're early on in this business or you're only doing 5 transactions or you're only doing 10 transactions and you've been stuck at this moment in time, just know it's okay. It's part of the journey and it's a part of where we are in your actual business, right? You haven't got over that hill, right? So we just need to kind of take a step back and then just figure out who you are, right? I need to figure out who I was, right? Because then after that, things started to click. I went from 27 to 41 transactions. The numbers are off. It was like 64, I think, and then it was like 80 something, and then I hit the 90s. Then I broke 100, and then I was breaking 100 consecutively for year after year by myself. And I didn't get an admin until like I was like in the 80s. Like I was really weird how I did it. And I wouldn't trade it for the world because I learned a lot, but I probably would have hit 200 transactions if I had a coordinator very early on that would take things off my plate. So I just wanted to tell you guys, listen, I'm normal just like you guys. Whatever your goals are, your goals are. One of the things that worked out well for me was just getting myself on a schedule. So the schedule was pretty much where I would wake up early. At that time was 4:30 a.m. Wake up early. I would get to the gym and I would be in the office by like 6:50, 7 o'clock in the morning. That's when I would role play. That's when I would practice. And then I was on the phones by like 7:45. We called 7:45 to 8 a.m. We called it $1 million hour. And this is fast track when now I'm starting new transactions. I'm more in the seller role. So we would call it $1 million hour because we knew that everybody before 8 a.m., nobody was on the phones. And we really genuinely believe the early bird gets the worm, right? So, one thing is that if you're looking to get ahead of your competition in terms of for sale by owners, in terms of expires, those two specifically, you got to be the first one to get to them because by the time that, realistically, by the time 9 a.m. hits, you might be the 20th, 30th, 40th, 50th, 100th person, who knows, that are calling because a lot of these people have call centers that are calling the expired. So they're kind of ruining them for you, right? The for sale by owners, they're ruining for you. So if you are a class agent that you're going to serve them, you're going to help them, you're going to be able to have that first conversation and most likely book that appointment for later that day or move on forward. So just get yourself on a schedule. I'm going to kind of go through quick because we're going to talk about the call. Um, and then, from after that, once you call your expired, once you call your force out by owners, and you hopefully booked an appointment by then what you're going to do is you're going to go for the for rent by owners. There's a lot of gold in the for rent by owners. I don't know how it is down by you, but for us, if we can't
Rich, I'm so sorry. I hit your mute button. Please unmute.
um,
I should never be in charge. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. So our day looked or my day looked like expired, for sale by owners, fresh, right? And the key is if they didn't pick up, you call with the same phone number, you recall those same lists. So you go expired, you go for sale by owner because there's probably like 10, 15, 20 expired. You'll get through them pretty quickly. Then FISBOs, at least up here, they're very like 4, 5, 3, 2, 1. Depends, right? There's not that many that pop up over here and you call those, and then you go back and recall that same exact list because what you want to try to create an urgency. Like, wait, why is this number recalling me? I didn't pick up. So maybe the second time around, you're going to get them. And then you go back to the FISBOs one more time if you have more than one, two, three, it doesn't matter. And then here's the key. This is where the most conversion happens is recall that same list one more time. Because now you shrunk it from 15, where 5 of them told you, like, get out of my life, don't bother me. And then now you have 10. So you're going to call the 10 that didn't pick up. And all of a sudden you're going to talk to like 3 or 4 more. And then you're going to maybe have a conversation. And then hopefully one more time around, the third time, they're going to be like, they're just naturally going to pick up. So you can switch your number at that moment in time. I suggest not switching the number. We've had great success by recalling. And you're probably going to say, listen, I'm annoying them. Why would they want to talk to me? I didn't pick up the first time. Just got to get out of your own head. Like at the end of the day, like they like aggressive agents. People want to be basically people want to be pitched to, in my opinion, right? They want a great leader, they want a great salesperson, they have a job, you have a solution, and come through in that phone call. So expired 3 times, right? And then you go to for rent by owner. And then after that, it's up to you want to do. Do you want to call your database? Do you want to call your sphere? Do you want to circle prospect? Do whatever you got to do to go get business. But from 8 till about 11, 12, dependable, if you can get a solid 3 to 4 hours in of true prospecting, of true talking to strangers, of just talking to people, fall in love with talking to people, bringing them to your energy, bringing them to your level, you're going to have a lot of lead conversion. You're going to have a lot of lead follow-up. And then when you have lead follow-up, that's in your afternoon. That's where a lot of the gold is right there, because that's when you're going to start converting appointments. That's when you're going to start future pacing. And that's when you're going to ask the customer, hey, is it okay that we call back in a week, schedule a day and time, whether you're doing it on a phone call, whether you're doing it by text message. And that's how you're going to start building your calendar up, taking that white space off of the calendar, right? So that's like how the morning works for us. Then we eat lunch, we, kind of decompress. Mind you, at every 50 minutes, we're stopping, or I'm stopping. Well, when I say we, I'm talking about my team when I teach them, but we're stopping at, by the way, I told nobody to come in the office until 9:30 today. So I had to force that's why it's quiet out there. But every 50 minutes, we're stopping and we're taking a mental break. We have pause, on every room that you walk into, we have the TVs going. There's something positive that's going on there, whether it's YouTube, whether it's some, what do you call it, streaming company. It doesn't matter. Something positive is going on. So no matter what room you walk into, you're going to kind of be engulfed, right? We have like this, I use the word meditation area because to me it's like the meditation area, but like we have like, comfort music, we have like Zen music. So like if you're stressed out, let's go over there. And then we have like an area where you can walk outside. So like, it's kind of designed so like if like we're gonna be getting beat up person after person, person after person until we get to that yes. But you need to be able to bring yourself back down and you need to be able to go there. So put yourself on a schedule, put yourself on a structure, but also just realize, be grateful, have your gratitude, have your meditation, have your affirmations that you're going to need to, because you need to be able to pull yourself out through the day. And then the afternoons, it's basically set for appointments. And, listen, if you didn't get an appointment, our day is structured after 3 o'clock to do another 2 to 3 more hours of solid prospecting just to try to find your yes for the day, right? Because our goals are we have our goals, right? So we have our must-haves that we have to hit, right? So our must-haves are: did you go to the gym to get your fitness well? Did you try to stay on track with a healthy diet? Did you meditate? Did you do some type of affirmation? Did you get some type of yes? Like, doesn't matter if the yes is so loose and you forced it out of them, but you need to leave the office, you need to leave the day on a positive note to try to go recreate the day for the next day. It doesn't matter if you call that person back and then you go for a pre-qual and then you pre-qual them and you realize that, hey, listen, I'm not even going to go on this appointment. That is fine, but you need to make sure that you get the yes, because it's the compound effect. You need to keep stacking those wins day after day to be able to achieve what you're looking for, because then all of a sudden you have 10 appointments or 15 appointments and then you shrink them down. All right, well, 50% of them I know I'm going to cut out. And out of those 50%, how many of them can I get signed, right? Can I get one, if your goal is one listen a week, can you get on 4 listen appointments, or can you get on 3? We run on about 73% of everything that we go on. So we know that we need to keep our numbers at a certain number, because just by the law of numbers, we're going to eventually hit our goals throughout the week. So that's knowing your KPIs. Definitely won't go into talking about that, but if you know your numbers, definitely know your numbers. It's business planning. Get yourself on a structure. If they're going to do 24 transactions, easy number is 5 strainers a day. Very simple numbers, very achievable numbers that you can do. So that's the schedule. The afternoon is admin, talk to them, make sure the files are going smoothly, go and listen to appointments, and then I'm home. I'm home. I could be home sometimes at 4 o'clock. I can be home sometimes at 6 o'clock. Really and truly, like, it's really 6 o'clock, 7 the latest if I take a 6 o'clock. But I can make everybody conform to my appointment times. It's my appointment times is 1 and 3. If you don't conform to that, and I can't schedule you at 9 a.m. on a Saturday, which is the only slot that I offer on a weekend, which I rarely go on, but if I do offer it out, that's the only time that we could do. And it's they can't conform to what I need them to do, then I'm not showing up, and I'll find the next person that can. Because at the end of the day, if they have a motivation, they could take off work and they can meet you at 1 o'clock. They could take an early lunch, they can meet you at 1 o'clock. There's a lot of different things that can happen. I'm personally not a big proponent of Zoom calls and stuff like that. Some people are, some people are not. If you're taught that way, feel free to continue doing what you know is right for you. But for myself, I like face-to-face appointments because
Hello.
I like the ink.
I'm good.
All right. So Which one call? I like the face to face because my closing percentage is rather high, so I can get them into the emotional state, and I can get a signed contract pretty good on the spot. So that's just the structure. Take that for where you want to take it. But the real thing that we want to talk about is when you're either pre-qualifying somebody or you're on the call, right? The one of the main reasons why I'll probably outbeat any person that's going to show up on an appointment is because I'm going to take time on the initial call, right? Some people rush through the calls, right? So they pick up the phone and then you say, "Hey, my name is Rich. I'm with EXP Real Estate. I'm just, let's say we're talking expired. I'm just curious to know, your house is off the market. I'm just curious to know when you plan on interviewing the right agent for jobs selling your house." Kind of go into the pitch very quickly, and they're like, "No," you guys freeze up, and then you guys maybe hang up because you didn't learn the objection. Objections is different. So that role play and objections are different. So we're just going to pretend that you know how to overcome the objections, right? So a lot of people are rushing and they're on their second, third call. Where if I get an engagement on a conversation, I'm about a minute and a half to 2 minutes just on my intro because I'm gonna be able to have a conversation with this person because I'm a firm believer in when you engage with a conversation and you listen to somebody, you're gonna be able to pull out a lot of information. And when you're on a conversation, one of the main things that a lot of people stop is they want themselves to be talking, right? And they want to over talk on the prospect, and you're just not going to listen. Or if you are listening and you already know what you're going to say next, so whatever they said, you kind of maybe brushed over it and you said what you want to say. But at the end of the day, it's like I don't know how it is down, across the area, but up here in the tri-state, people are very quick and kind of quick to the point. But you have to realize that every prospect, they want to speed you up because they want to take you off your game to hopefully where you're going to turn around and be like, "Nope, I don't want to talk to this person and I'm going to move on to the next call." But your job as a sales professional is to slow them down and get them to your level so then you can start to have a great conversation with that person. So like especially when it's a conversation, it's like it's a lot of NLP talk. It's a lot about like the neuro side, how to do things, right? You have to kind of create curiosity in a conversation. So it's just like, "Hey, my name is Rich. I'm with EXP Real Estate." You pause. You're like, "EXP Real Estate. Why is this person calling me?" And it's very weird, but you pause. Like I was taught to like make a quick clap, like three claps, and then you're gonna say the next thing. "Hey, oh, I don't know why I'm drawing a blank right now. My name is Rich with EXP Real Estate. I'm sure you guys been getting a lot of phone calls this morning." And you pause. Yeah, and let them answer. The key is let them answer. "Yeah, I've been getting a lot of calls. Well, I noticed your property at whatever 123 Main Street recently came off the market. And out of your opinion, why do you think the house didn't sell?" You got to get them talking, and then they're going to open up. They're going to start to open up, and you think that like they're not going to open up. The funny part is they are going to open up because when you start triggering their mind to want to have a conversation with you, and you start creating that curiosity, like, "Well, this person didn't ask me for an interview. This person didn't put me down." You're going to be able to see that they're going to start having conversation. And the key is when you're having a convo with anybody, it doesn't matter if it's expired, a FISBO, a follow-up call, your broker, your friend, doesn't matter who you talk to. But the moment you start asking great questions and you don't leave it just like a yes or a no question, and you make them start thinking and you create those pauses, they're gonna indulge so much information from you, right? "Oh, my house didn't sell because I'm actually," it's common up here, so I'll say this one. We're going through a divorce. And then most people kind of freeze up. They don't know what to say. And then like, you can't assume which way you're going to go in a conversation, right? So then it's like, all right, so they're telling me why the house didn't sell. Great information because we're in a fact find stage right there. So you have your intro, then you have a fact find stage because all that fact find, whatever the situation of why the house didn't sell, you're going to take that information and that's how you're going to close them at the end because you're going to take all that data. It's like a computer, right? Like you're taking all the data, you're asking all the right questions, you're going to get that. And if the person at the very end of the call is like, well, I got to think about it. No, no, no. I know why you need to sell. Like we need to, and you need me. Let's get on this appointment. That's down the road, right? So you're just going to fact find, right? You're going to ask a lot of great questions. You're going to ask kind of an open-ended question, but you're going to like, hey, tie it down. So like, hey, we're actually going through divorce. Oh, whatever, Anthony, I don't know if I should be happy for you or if I should be feeling sad for you right now. And they're gonna tell you which direction that you want them to go into. They're gonna be like, oh no, that person was extremely miserable. I'm happy. Now take that course. Or they're gonna be like, oh, I walked in and X, Y, Z happened. I caught her cheating. So now you gotta take a different approach. You gotta get to their emotion level, right? So like when you're in a conversation, like you have to like read the room properly. You have to read the prospect properly, right? That's one section, right? Or they could say, hey, listen, I lost my job, right? Or, hey, I'm going through retirement, right? Like there's so many different ways to go. Like they will answer that first question. What's your reason why the house didn't sell? Oh, I hated my agent. My agent sucked. They didn't do any open houses. They didn't do X, Y, Z. Great. Well, here at, with my company, that's exactly what we do. And like you're going to use the information they give against them to try to try to realign, right? And then eventually you're going to ask for the appointment. And then you're going to take that like, hey, listen, Anthony, let's take my agent wasn't good. Hey, Anthony, like, and one of the main reasons why that my team and myself has been super successful is and this is now a storytelling. Like you have to intro a storyteller, a third party, because a third party close is a lot stronger than what you think, right? So you can be like, hey, listen, like the last two people, and hopefully it's true stories. Don't make up stories, right? But like I have enough story, whether it was a month ago or 2 months ago, 3 months ago, I have a story that I can kind of resonate with the person. Be like, hey, listen, you know what? I had somebody that was in the same situation. They lost their job, and the first what they could do is over the last year they thought about renting the property, so they rented the property out. They broke the number one rule. True, this is a true story, by the way. Broke the number one rule, and they rented it to family because they needed to be able to pay the mortgage. And what they did was they rented the family. Family was paying them for 6, 8 months, and then all of a sudden the money stopped coming in. So now he's strapped, and he doesn't know what to do. Credit card bills are catching up with him because he's paying his mortgage with his credit card, what you shouldn't be doing. So bills are starting to accumulate. Had no idea what to do. So what they did was they reached out to us because they knew that we were going to be able to sell their property, get them top dollar, get them credit card free, debt free, and then kind of move on. So you use that pain point of a story to re-wrap it back in. And if it was that was losing a job, but if it was an agent, you would do the same thing. Hey, listen, you know what? That's so funny. Like you're like the second person that would be listing because you got to put that like those commands that are in like statute. Like you're the third person this week that would list a property that they didn't like their agent. And what's funny is like I find it hard to believe because I give weekly calls. I have weekly emails that go out to exactly where the process that we're going to go. I enjoy having conversations with my clients. Oh my God, you don't do open houses? I have everybody on my team that loves to do open houses. So like you're speaking their language exactly for the data that you found out, right? So then when you just naturally get to the end of the call, guess what you're going to do? It's just going to be natural. You're like, well, listen, Anthony, it sounds right that we should just get together. I have availability today at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock. Which time works better for you? And then they're going to be like, well, I can't do this, but can you do this time? And if you take time to go through the call, you take time to ask great questions, and you take time to take that, just understand it's like data that you're popping, you're collecting. I'm sorry, not popping, and then you're going to pop it to them towards the end to be able to make that close. And if they hit you like with the objection, like, oh, you know what? We just can't meet because, I just need to think it over. We were on the market for 6 months. And then you're going to be like, well, remember, like, I skipped a couple of things, like, where are you moving to? You're going to have to get into that question. Why are you moving there? What's the main reason why you're looking for? Like, there's a lot of questions that you're going to be going through, but just understand there's a fact find section. And all those questions are designed to have the ammunition in your pocket, right? To be able to say, oh, well, you need time to think about it. Well, Anthony, you've been thinking about this for 6 months. If the house sold, where were you planning on moving to? Well, I was planning on moving to here. Well, why was the reason why you were planning on moving here? Well, it's because, from New Jersey, a lot of people move to Florida, right? Well, one of the main reasons why is the tax breaks. Well, listen, I specialize in remarketing other properties other agents couldn't sell. And, we talked about the story that helped the last person. Anything, it's only right for us to get together and then be like, oh, well, it's the holiday season. And then you got to go through your holiday objections. You got to be able to handle the objection, but you're going to handle the objection with your knowledge of what you've been collecting throughout. And now let's just say like you can't get the appointment. Well, now you have all this information to collect because now when you create a follow-up call, you're not just a stranger. You're just like, hey, it's Rich with EXP Real Estate. We spoke back on whatever today's day is, December 18th, and I know you were thinking about moving to Florida, and I'm just curious to know if you had made that adjustment yet to get down to Florida to find suitable housing, and you expressed to me that you were retiring XYZ, like, and you rebring that conversation, they're going to be like, oh, I actually did speak to this person because after you hang up that call, they are going to get blown up 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20 agents. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to prime them up, get them all vulnerable. You ask the wrong question because then the next person that's skilled, that's going to get that phone call from them. You did all the hard work, you did all the heavy lifting, and then the next person asked 2, 3 great, okay questions, and they get the appointment because you weren't strong enough to do the close. So just remember, like every person you talk to, they want to do business with you. And that's where the mindset kicks in. Like you have to be like, I'm on the phone with this person and we're not getting off this phone because, listen, if they tell you no and their no's are as strong as the first no, and you're at your fourth or fifth close and they're still firmly at no, then the answer is no. Guess what? You're going to move on. Right. But if their no is strong and then their next no, it gets a little weaker and the next no after that gets a little weaker after you handle the ejections, you have it in the bag and you just got to ask for the business. And listen, most of us don't ask for the business. And I can promise you one thing, if you take anything from this call, just ask for the business. And that's whether you're in person or you're on the phone. It just ask for it because real estate professionals, it's crazy. I've ran stats on this. I've tested it out on live people. If I just ask for the business, the numbers go through the roof, right? Because most people are like, okay, well, great. I'll call you back in 2 weeks. I'll call you back in a month. Oh, you say you want to wait till the springtime? Wait for the springtime. But at the end of the day, like you're not really figuring out what the issue is because there might be a legitimate condition or it might be a legitimate objection. You got to understand there's two different ways to handle that. A condition is something you can't do, and it is springtime no matter what you say. But it might be an objection that you can overcome and you can get on. And every person that I speak to is like, well, how's the real estate market doing? And I'm like, well, our numbers are up. My numbers are up. I'm on appointments weekly. I'm on appointments daily. I'm still getting contracts signed and I'm speaking to the people because we're finding the right people. So we're realigning ourselves with that. So, intro should take a lot of time. Fact find is asking a lot of questions and learn how to intertwine that into it. Use third party as your closes. Remember, when you ask a question, pause. Do not say anything. It's awkward. I understand. Do not say a word. Wait for their answer. And then go to the next question, pause, ask for the word, understand, use great question. Use great tie downs. Hey, listen, is that fair enough? Could you, like you gotta put the conversation moving forward and you have to include it. Well, when we meet later today, there's a command, right? Or hey, listen, let's connect with me tonight. There's a command. Like you have to be future pacing that appointment in your brain and using the correct words, and eventually you're going to see. So intro, fact find, ask great questions, pause. The natural the ending of this conversation is going to be natural, and just don't forget that their job is to rush you through the conversation. Your job is to slow down. So if you went from intro and all of a sudden they're towards the end of the conversation and they're rushing you off, like, oh, give me like a text or something like that, you have to be smart enough to bring them back to part two. So if they're rushing you, you have to be smart enough to re-engage back because we'll outbeat you every single time because we have the data and you don't have the data to be able to close. So that's just what I have on just a call structure. And listen, it's expires, that's FISBOs, that's circle prospecting, that's your future follow-ups, that's anybody you have a conversation with, the information stays the same. It doesn't matter if it's your database. If it's your database, you have to be calling with a reason. You have to be calling with an actual factual information that's going to enhance their life somehow, some way. And it doesn't mean that it's right there, but the conversation is still the same. It's a little different, but like when you're calling your database, it's say what you're looking for, maybe ask them what's going on, but then it's just like, hey, listen, I know you talk to a lot of people at work. Right now, it's the holidays. Hey, listen, I know a lot of us are getting together for the holidays, and real estate's a natural conversation that gets brought up. And I'd be thankful if if anybody brings up any real estate conversation for you to think about me. And whatchamacallit, the best way to do that is put us into a group text, and I'll be able to answer any questions that they might have, whether it's for the handymans, for the contractors, or selling or buying or investing, whatever it might be. I appreciate you being your go-to realtor. So I thank you for thinking about me. Happy holidays, so on and so forth. Like, you can embed all this into your normal conversations, because when you're talking to your database, and I'll leave it at this, is you're a billboard. Your missed call is a billboard. Your voicemail is a billboard. Your text message is a billboard, because you want to see you want to see your contact on their information on their phones, and you're going to do that quarterly. You're going to do that monthly, whatever it might be. Your A clients, your B clients, your C clients, doesn't matter. You're going to create that, so you want your billboard to always be working for you. So even if they don't pick up, leave a great voicemail and say like that, and just say something in the voicemail, and then repeat. And then you always should have a theme when you're calling your database, because if they actually do call you back, you want to be like, oh, I was calling you because I don't know if you noticed the interest rates came down 0.25%. Let's say they bought a house a year ago. What interest rate are you at right now? Oh, we're at 7.5%. Oh, wow, it's 6.8%. Want to connect you with our lender, see if there's any financial benefit for you refinancing right now, see if we can lower these payments. We'll do whatever, but like, always have a theme, because when they call you back, you just know you're talking about the same thing. If you're just calling to BS about their children or something that's going on, and sometimes you're not going to remember exactly where it is in the conversation, because you left, you're driving, you're in the middle of the car, or you're in the grocery store, and they call you back, and you're like, I don't remember why I'm calling you, so you don't pick up. That's the worst thing we can do. Just pick up, because sometimes they're testing you, to see if you pick up at 8 p.m., pick up 7 p.m., you pick up at 7 in the morning. Sometimes it's a test if they actually want to rework with you or work with you. So I don't know if that helps, but call structures are I'm fantastic at. So if you have any questions, it's not BS out there. I know you're probably thinking, well, like, oh, I can't last in the calls. That means you're just not making enough phone calls to have these conversations, because they do exist every day. There's people that indulge information to you every single day. Whether you're dialing by hand or you're dialing on a dialer, you're able to achieve talking to somebody and having great conversations. And just remember, even if you talk to 30, 50, 100 people in a day, doesn't matter. Just keep moving forward past those no's to get to that yes, because there is a yes somewhere in there. And if you know your numbers, it could be at 20. So, every 20 people, eventually, when you get to that 20 number, someone's going to say yes to you based on all the information that you have. So the numbers are achievable, but it just depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking to do 10 transactions or 12 transactions, well, your yes might come in 3 weeks. But if you keep doing the work day after day, you're going to be like, all right, every 6 days, it takes me to get to an appointment. All right. And then after the 6th day, it takes me 28 days to get a signed contract. Okay. So know your numbers if what you're looking to do. So if you're looking to do it on a wide scale, do it on a wide scale. If you're looking to do on a small scale, do it on a small scale, but just know exactly what it is. Because, for me, I'm looking at it, I'm like, all right, when am I going to get to my 26th person? Because I know once I talk to 26 people, it's a signed contract. So I'm like, all right, I just search and I start having fun with it. I start playing games. We have challenges that go on in the office, and we're all out there just doing the same thing. So fact find, put yourself on a schedule, be strict on your schedule. Don't lie to yourself. If you say that you're gonna have these 5 things that you're gonna do every single day, do those 5 things every single day. If you say, hey, I'm gonna talk to 5 strangers a day, do not leave the day and say, oh, I'll do tomorrow, because guess what? Tomorrow never comes, and tomorrow's never promised. So at the end of the day, be where you are, and just learn how to effective communicate to your clients. And I don't know what else to say. I
That's
guess
awesome. Hey, do you have a lot of like online like PPC style leads in your database? And do you have any insights on some scripting around those?
so. We do pay per click, yes. We get about close to 300 a month that comes in off of that. The stats are 38% of those leads that come in are seller leads. So the way I engage my agents to be able to want to make those calls, because everyone's like, oh, they're bad leads. They're not bad leads. They're bad leads if you think they're bad leads, right? So 38% of those are sellers, right? Or 38% of those, because a lot of the people that are coming to New Jersey, they're coming from New York. So their properties are in New York. For us, it's a referral out. So you have to be thinking a little bit bigger, right? Like when you're in a conversation, it's how can you help them right now? How can you get a referral out of that particular person, or can I add them into my database? One of those three is always on a call that you're going to have. So yes, our Google pay-per-click leads, yes, sometimes they give false information, but what we do is we naturally get their phone number and we still have a conversation with them. So yes, our pay-per-click leads are very high on our team. We have really two people that are dedicated to like loving those leads. Um, and they're going to close. I know one person's going to close 18 off of them, which they're full time. It's fantastic numbers for them. They're going to close 18 off just pay per click by himself, and then we have a part time person. I believe she's at five from those leads, and then I have somebody that specifically just calls them, trying to vet out who's a seller in that, because that's what they want to do. They want to try to get the referral off of it, and they want to try to list their property. And then they're going to take that data, and if they don't want to buy, then they pass out the buy to somebody else on the team. So I don't remember what the question exactly was, but it is a we do pay per click leads. But a lot of our lead generation is outbound. So we're doing a lot of circle prospecting, just listed, just sold, database calls, sphere calls. Like we're really big on that. And then we have the agents that have pay per click. We have pay per click leads. We have sign calls that come off of it. We do Facebook advertising that comes off of our lead structure as well. We run cash, what's my house worth? We cash, whatever, cash now for house. I forget what it says, cash now offers or whatever, to try to flip them. And if we can't flip them, we have an investor that we just refer them out to if it fits their mold. I don't know. What was the question again about the pay per click?
Just I think some scripts, but maybe more specifically on, let's go into that and look at folks that are in the database that have gone kind of cold that sourced from that. What are one or two of those really good questions that you're finding some motivation from? So if you had to pinpoint one or two really good questions that you're asking to try to re-engage some of those older database leads, what are you using that's working right now?
So some of the things that I teach is, if let's say that, well, we put them call 30 days of hell is what we do. So when the lead comes in, you call 3 times in a day. So as soon as the lead hits, if the agent can do it, call right away. Then they schedule another call throughout the day, and then another point they call a third time. And then day two is two. So they pick out one day in the morning, afternoon, call twice. And then after that, it's once a day until they hit 30 days if they didn't. So that's being the aggressive side. So let's just say that nobody picked up. So then they go to the bucket that's 30 days or older. So then that goes in, we use follow-up boss. So that moves into that bucket. Now everybody on the team has the ability to kind of go into that bucket and try to recultivate. We have drip campaigns that are going out to try to get re-engagement. Anybody that enters data through us, when they come through our PPC leads, they get automatically funneled into similar criteria what they're looking for. So they're always getting email blasts of something like if they came in through a town and their budget was $500,000 and they were looking for three, we'll just put like a circumference around that everything that matches that criteria. So then we can start gauging if they're re-entering the website and they're re-engaging and how much information that, like, let's say there was a property and we saw they visited it 10 times or 8 times or 5 times. Then we're taking that, hey, we saw that you looked at XYZ address. We would love to schedule an appointment with you, something basic, right? If they're not answering, we wait. The gold mine actually is that when we leave a voicemail is we'll say, hey, listen, this is Rich. I got your information. And then we just hang up. Because then like we just think that like, oh well, so they're gonna call us back like Rich. I don't know who Rich is. You got my information from what? And like we literally just hung up. Then we get that return phone call. So it's like sometimes it's like being a little creative. If they like went like ghost on us, as we say over here, is we'll take a different phone number and then we'll just text them and we'll be like Anna question mark, and that's all we'll say in the text. And then most of the people get curious and be like, yeah, how can I help you? And then you just call and then they'll pick up. And then if they're not picking up, I have different text message templates that go out, different voicemails that we leave. And it's just like, I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. I really don't focus on it, unfortunately. But I'm trying to think like it would be something like, hey, your name, we noticed, so we'll do some quick research about the area. Like, hey, we noticed recently that, homes in this particular area are, selling at a XYZ price, and we actually just listed XYZ price down the road, and we got a fantastic number. We know homeowners or buyers are aggressively looking in this area. Hey, why don't you reach out to us because we have off-market opportunities for you that might be a fit, and then like just kind of creating some type of demand. I know this is going to sound weird, but a lot of the stuff that we've been doing lately has been working. It's just going straight up on Chat GPT and just putting the exact situation that you're in and saying, hey, listen, how would you frame this for us? And I just been copying and pasting and doing like a lot of A/B testing and seeing which ones work. But a lot of it just kind of like leaving open-ended, providing some type of value. We use a lot that we can't re-engage. Hey, listen, what do you call it? We have this interesting site that we put off-market opportunities where homeowners come to us and they don't want to live alive in the open market, but we call it what we call a pocket listing, and we have such a huge list of these properties. We actually think some of them might fit the bill what you're looking for. Why don't you give us a call so we schedule it today to be able to get you out into looking at properties as soon as possible. And there's just different techniques, different ways. I'm just a believer in the billboard side of things. If they see your missed calls enough and they're still aggressively acting, that once they hit the 30-day, maybe we call them once a month, right? And then or we call them twice a month, or we just throw them into the dollar and we just let them rip, and then we hope that we can re-engage a different conversation from somebody. But these are people that kind of never picked up. If it was somebody you had a conversation with today, and then you had a conversation within a week, and then 3 weeks just started a conversation, and then they went dark on you and you didn't hear from them, then it's just different ways that we're starting to ping them through text messages. We're starting to ping them through what do you call it, through emails. And then what we do is we kind of go offline. So we either friend request them on LinkedIn or we friend request them on Facebook, and we try to get them to see, because now we can start re-engaging with them on there. We can start taking a look to see what they're doing. And then when we call, we can, it's not being a creep, but like now you have provided some type of value to them. So like if you're consistently posting on social media, that you'll be able to like kind of re-engage. So I don't really have a direct answer other than just being very aggressive on the leads. And then just like if one technique didn't work, well, that didn't work then go back to your try another technique. And if that didn't work, try another technique. But the one thing I can assure you is the more times that they see your number compared to somebody else's, when the time is right. Because for me, I have my financial advisor. He calls me, I feel like twice a month. I do not pick up his call. I like the guy. I'm going to do business with the guy, but I just don't pick up because I don't want to talk for 10, 15 minutes. So maybe that person's busy and they're not ready. But guess what? If you call at the right time, it's all about the timing. Eventually, you're going to have to. So I wouldn't just give up on those leads. I would just move them into a different bucket and to just have like drip campaigns, text message campaigns, different things that are going out, the e-alerts that we send out, just to kind of track who's going, because we get an email notification every morning of who revisited the website, what they specifically looked at. So then when we call them back or we leave a text message, hey, we saw you looked at XYZ property, we're actually and this is where you got to become a salesperson, right? Hey, we're actually touring that property a little bit later today for our other client. Would you mind that if we piggyback off of this, and we're showing that at 4 o'clock? So I would say 5 o'clock would be safe. Can you make it at 5 o'clock so I can show you that property? And just try to get them to start saying yes. And I understand the laws, you got to get things signed, all that fun stuff. That's different. All you want to do is try to get them back into re-engagement of a conversation, because so if you're not adding them into any type of e-alert, I don't know what you have. We have Sierra. I know there's Boomtown out there. We have KV Core through EXP. So if you're not using any of that stuff, definitely start doing that, because you could start taking engagements and then using that against them. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, I think that was a helpful question. I just feel like there's a lot of leads that, when they don't get in the process and in the pipeline in that initial, 2 or 3 days that they hit, it just seems like wasted effort to have them. And I think categorizing them is huge, but then it's like, what are the tactical questions that we're asking to get them to re-engage? And I've been using ChatGPT to help me ask questions to them as well. So
ChatGPT is my savior. So, one thing I didn't talk about is, we all should have a coach. We all should have somebody that's higher. I have 3 coaches, and one of my coaches is actually how to frame and how to ask questions, and to make sure that I can really dissect the conversation. So like every week I'll bring something up, because we're more like, our team is more seller based. We're thankful that we get a lot of sign calls, and we're thankful that we get a lot of hits. So it's like a lot of direct that would just come from what we do. So like when we do pay per click and they do go dark on us, but we just make sure that like they go through 30 days of hell. And I would just reframe, instead of saying it's a waste of time, it's just like, you have to be aggressive day 1, day 2, day 3, and then after that you just have to be consistent, because you never know. Like, you can be calling at 9 a.m. every day, and they're at work and they can't pick up, because every day at 9 a.m. They're in a meeting, so they can't pick up, right? So, or it's vice versa. They work the night shift and they come home at 8 a.m. and they're sleeping at 9 a.m. and their phone's on silent. Like, you have to start restructuring. Like, all right, I'll try at 8, I'll try at 10, I'll try at 12, I'll try at 2, I'll try at 7. All these different times. Like, you have to be trying all these different things in different times, because you never know when they're gonna be available. Like I was saying, like about my financial guy calls me all the time. But I don't know how many times I got to tell him, do not call me in the morning. Do not call me in the afternoon. If you want to speak to me, call me after like 6 o'clock. I'll pick up. Even if I don't want to talk to you, I'll pick up. But he doesn't listen to me. Calls me at 8, calls me at 9, calls me at 12. I'm not going to pick up, because I'm preoccupied in what I'm doing, and that's not important to me. But I will pick up, because now it's December and we need to do certain things by next week. So if you call me at 10 o'clock, I might actually hit him, hey, give me 5 minutes. Let me get off this call, and then I'm gonna call you right back, because I need that. So, and the same thing for your clients. You don't know where they are. So like, you just have to start thinking outside the box, and it's not a waste of time. It's a waste of time if you're going through an hour and you have loaded up 100 people into a dialer, and in that hour you talk to 0 people. That's a waste of time, right? But like, if you're just intertwining it throughout your business, like, all right, I'm going to call this list because I know I can speak to 10 people out of this list. So you take that 10 people, and then now you move, like, all right, for the next 20 minutes, I'm going to call this list, and I'm going to try it this time. And then you're going to go back to the other list. And a little bit later on, I'm going to try this time. And then you're just going to keep going back and forth until you figure it out. And unfortunately, it's not. Listen, 25% of the time, I'm sorry, 25% of our words are what people are going to hear. So it's not about how creative you are. If you're just being consistent and you say something, you're gonna be better than the person that's not. And if you have a script in front of you that works, a robot on a script sounds a lot better than a person that doesn't have a script. So like, there's different thought processes that you should have, because it's never a waste of time. It's only a waste of time if you believe it's a waste of time, because now your negative self-talk is thinking about that. And even if you do connect with somebody, you're going to be terrible on that call. So you honestly might as well not have done that call, or even that session to begin with, if that's how you're going to think. But if you're thinking like, hey, every person that's in this call list, they're going to pick up, they're going to buy a house with me, they're going to rent a house with me, they're going to sell a house with me. And you go into that thought process, you're just naturally going to find somebody in there. So it's not as much as I want to agree with you. I totally disagree with that comment. And there's gold within your database. And all the time there's lists that we go to 2021, 2022, 2018, 2015. There's lists like we have them like categorized that we just rip through because like our next philosophy is like, well, we couldn't re-engage with them in 2015, let's just say. I'm assuming they bought a house. That's great, they bought a house. I'm gonna take the next assumption that their agent has not been following up with them, so I'm just gonna go hit that list and then be like, hey, listen, you were in our database at one point in time. I'm just curious. Did you guys ever end up buying a property? Yeah, I bought a property. Oh, great. And where did you end up buying the property? And then just get them converting. And listen, just out of curiosity, we just know, we've seen a lot of sales happen in the area, but we know when one house sells, two more usually sell it right away. So did you have any thoughts of planning on moving? No, I didn't. Or yeah, we're planning on moving in a year. Now you just dug up some type of gold from an old lead that most likely bought, and now you can try to re-engage them into a seller. So like just just have all these different systems in place. Like I said, we have 30 days of hell, so they move into that bucket. After that bucket, they naturally move into a different bucket. I think it's like 90 plus days. We have buckets like our A people. We have buckets that are hot, hot buyers, hot sellers. We got people that are B's and C's, and we're moving people from C to B to A all the time. We're moving people from A to C if they look good in the beginning, but they're not good. And then we're just focusing our efforts at the highest probability of that lead. And that's when you can really take a mass and you can funnel everything down. That's where like, where I'm bred from from our coaching company is you don't need 100 leads, you don't need 50 leads. Whatever your goal is, you just need 2 to 3, 4 follow-ups a day that are going to do something with you, and then you're going to focus all your efforts on that. Because then if you have 5 people or follow up in a day but you really have 50, those 5 are going to get mixed up in there, and then 50 is going to be, oh my God, I got to follow up with 50 people, 40 people, 30 people, and then they're going to get bled into there, and then you're going to miss that opportunity with that person. So don't be scared to trash them or put them into a bucket and let it kind of do its own thing. And if they come back to life, great. They don't come back to life, at least it's doing something, and maybe they respond to an email, maybe respond to a generated text. I don't know, but all I know is that just focus your efforts on that person now and start creating a couple of systems for yourself. And worst case scenario, just trash them. If you don't want to do business with them today, or they're not answering your calls, or they're not doing anything, just move them to a different area and say, hey, I want to focus on this person because they're buying a house with me. They're selling a house with me.
That's great. Anybody else have any other questions? I could ask Rich like 5 more questions, but I don't want to hog his time or y'all's.
And by the way, I wasn't bred this way. Like like I said, 8 months. I was a terrible agent. It came through a lot of coaching, a lot of self-development, a lot of mindset, a lot of faith, a lot of health, and all that fun stuff. Like it was years. Like I was like, yes, I was selling a numerous amount of houses kind of early on, but like in my opinion, like I just stepped into it, and then the systems didn't come till later on, like 7, 8 years ago.
Yeah, I mean I'm a big believer in what you focus on expands. And I mean, it's been a like story of my last week or so. We've been really preoccupied with another project and just needed to dive back into the database. And as soon as I did, holy moly, it was just like phone call, appointment, And so it really is like once your headspace gets there, those dopamine hits start to come in, you start getting those wins, it will continue to grow and expand. So it's just, it's you said it, aggressive to consistent, and usually we're good at one or the other, but it's hard to be really good at both. I wrote that down, at first, especially with some of these, as being aggressive, and then from there it's just consistency. And a lot of us, I think, struggle with being able to do both of those things. So thank you. That was my nugget for this morning.
Great. What's your other 4 questions you said you had?
Oh, I'm not, I just could be here all day. I've just turned into a very curious person. It took me a long time to get there, but I'm very curious now. Thank you so much for everything you had to share. Anyone else have questions before we let him get back to the
Prospecting.
phones?
I am going back to prospecting. Oh, you've been thinking about this for 6 months. Oh, I didn't even realize Dean was on there. I appreciate it. That's my partner, guys. Just in case you don't know, up here in New Jersey. We talk about this thing all the time. We preach it. We run our own community, Phone Warriors, and we have people in there prospecting with us daily, East Coast, Central, West Coast. So there's, 25 to 30 people pretty much on that's doing the same thing. If you don't know what to say, you don't know where to start somewhere. Come in the chat. Listen, people listen to you, people correct you, people help you. If you don't have a coach, that's a great way to start. There's a lot of accountability, but that's what we do. And like you said, we have that ARP, and then he uses the word progressive, which is being passive and being aggressive at the same time. So it just means that like you're kind of listening, but at the same time you're going through with your own agenda, which is like being the aggressive side. So if you don't take anything, like if you're being laid back and you're being passive, you're probably not going to get anywhere. But if you're being very aggressive, like I don't care where you are in the world, I think that they need to take the guidance and you need to be able to swift through and be like, this is how it's going to be. But at the same time, using what they need you what they need from you is getting the house sold, right? But being aggressive and being like, no, this is how it's going to be. This way didn't work for you. This is how we do it. But still being like, we're going to achieve your goal for this. So like, it takes a lot of time going back, coming back, going this way, going left, going right, going center. It takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of struggles, right? Like I have a listening presentation. I literally show up at a listening appointment with a piece of paper. I throw it down. I read it verbatim. I know it. I still read it verbatim. And I've had people ask me, like, well, what's that? Also, the question I'm going to ask you. I have them written down. You see these little blank spots. They're where I write the question down, and that's how I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna be able to help you. They can care less what's in front of them. But I literally read. All right, three things are about to happen, and I have like gestures on these papers. Like, all right, I put hand. I know I'm using my hand. Oh, like this section when we're talking about price, make sure your hands are up and make sure I'm pointing. Like I have it all written down on paper. Like I'm no different than anybody. Like I'm a presenter, like Leonardo DiCaprio. The reason why he gets paid millions and millions of dollars is because he knows how to read a script. So if he can pay millions of dollars to read a script, I'm gonna read a script and I'm gonna do the same thing and try to get paid millions of dollars doing what I do. So that's that. I don't know how that one came up, but because of this question.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think one of the things agents on this call, if you're really struggling with some of this work too, like go take an improv class, like go take a voice and body work class somewhere. Like
Okay.
there's so much soft skill work that we do every day. And it's not just market knowledge and it's not just having a ton of sales behind you. It's exactly what he said. It's being able to just communicate very clearly, which is why we wanted to have him on this morning to kind of share his insights on that. So okay, well, thanks for wrapping us for the year, Rich. This was super fun. We
Fun.
will literally not be back live on a Wednesday morning until like I can't do math, but like 7th or 8th. I don't know how the days exactly line up, but that second week in January. I'm sending an email out now to everyone to give you a place to ask us what you want to hear about next year. I know we've got some really great content already kind of lined up for January. I think an in-person event in North Carolina in January in the works for now too. So we're looking forward to a great 2025 together. And thank you guys so much for being part of our year this year. I appreciate you all.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, guys. Have a great holiday, but keep
Thanks.
working. Thanks,
See you.
Bob.